So you've heard that to qualify for EB-1A, you just need to meet 3 out of 10 criteria. It sounds simple, right? Well, it's not quite simple. So guys, here's the truth. Now, meeting 3 criteria gets your foot in the door, but it doesn't get you the green card. Like, a lot of people will say, I have 3 out of 10, I should get the green card. But no, there's a second step that trips up even the most qualified applicants. And if you don't know how it works, your petition might just be dead on arrival. So on this episode, we're going to break that down. Let me show you exactly what USCIS is really looking for and how to play the game smart. So if we haven't met, hi, I'm Dr. Ozzy. I'm a wife and a mom of 3, microbiologist, podcaster, and the founder of my EB-1A. Back in 2010, I always tell the story, right? I came to the US as a grad student with 0 connections, guys. I just had a big dream. And in 2019, I earned my US green card through the EB-1A route. No lawyers, no sponsor. This year, 2025, I became a US citizen, proud US citizen, guys. And today I help professionals like scientists, engineers, creatives, founders navigate the EB-1A and EB-2NIW process with strategy, clarity, and confidence. Our team offers expert consultations, sample petition guides, even hands-on support to draft those petition letters to help you build the strongest case possible. Of course, nobody guarantees approval, but we have a high approval rate because we pick the very best applicants, people who are really strong, who have really strong cases. And if you're not quite there, we help you build the case. We help you figure out what you need to do to get you there. Guys, to be able to get a consultation with us, please look in the description portion of this video. Let's get into today's episode. Today, we're going to talk about the 2-part test that USCIS uses to determine who actually gets approved. The EB-1A evaluation has 2 distinct steps, guys. You need to pass both of them. It's not optional, it's mandatory, right? So when you're putting your petition together, for those of you who are going to self-petition, you're going to write it yourself. I'm going to break down the specific 2-step criteria that USCIS uses to figure out if you're qualified. Step 1 is the regulatory criteria test. Let's talk about that. USCIS looks at the 10 listed criteria and checks whether you've met at least 3 of them, right? So is it that you won a one-time big award like a Nobel Prize, but most people haven't? Or you look at the 10 regulatory criteria and see if you can meet at least 3 of those. So let's ask the questions. Have you been recognized with an award? Have you published scholarly articles? Have you judged, served as a judge of others' work? Have you led in a leading role at a prestigious organization? There are 10 of these things, and we're going through each of them in detail over the next few episodes. But here's the kicker, guys. Even if you meet 3 or even 6, you're still not you're still not guaranteed an approval, right? You have to make sure that you meet the 2-part test to get approved. Because after you meet the regulatory criteria, there comes step 2. The step 2, of course, is the final merit determination, right? The final merit determination is the second part, the second step. After you've met, 3 out of, you have awards, you have publication, you have citation, or you have membership in merit-based professional society, you meet 3 out of 10 of those things, right? The second step is called the final merit determination step. So I want you to think of it like this. Step 1 is like passing a written exam, right? And then step 2 is the road test. It's where USCIS watches you drive. So we're thinking in terms of driver's test. Step 1 is like passing the written exam. Step 2 is the road test, where USCIS gets to see you drive. Now, step 2 is where the officer will ask questions like, is this person really at the top of their field? That's the final merit determination. Are they really at the top of their field? Have they had a sustained impact over time? And then the third thing is, does the evidence show quality and not just quantity? Very, very important, because a lot of people will just put everything in there. But you have to learn how to put the most important things there in order not to dilute your case. Now, this is where strategy, storytelling, and structure matter. Think of it that you're not really talking to people who might be in your field. So learn how to tell the story in a way that is engaging, truthful, and of course conveys that you are the best thing since sliced bread in your field. Okay, so let me give you a few analogies that might help you. I love to give analogies. If you listen to the previous episode, you would hear me talk a lot about different fields, right? But the analogy for final merit determination is this. You cannot win American Idol just by showing up with a good voice, right? Many of you listen to American Idol or you watch American Idol. You have to prove that you can perform, you can connect with the audience, and you're consistently going to deliver, right? So these are the components that will help you win that award. That's the same thing here, right? If you meet 3 criteria, that's just like showing up. It shows you're impressive, good. But the final merits determination shows that you're exceptional. That just moves you to the next level, guys. So you're not just a good researcher, you're shaping the field. You're not just a great entrepreneur, you actually build something with measurable, lasting influence, right? You're not just a talented artist, you're actually someone who others look to as a leader in your field or a leader in your craft. So these are the things that they look for when they look at the final merits. So the first step, they're saying, okay, have they met the regulatory criteria? Have they shown at least in 3 ways that they're extraordinary? The second step looks at the bigger picture to say, even if they're extraordinary, are they really at the top of their field? Are they the go-to person in their field? Are they making an impactful change in their field? Are they moving the needle in their field? These are the things that you need to think about. Okay, now let's talk about some common misconceptions about this. A lot of people say, I've met 3 criteria, so I'm good, right? Nope, not always. Remember, in addition to your 3 criteria, you actually have to meet the requirements for the final merit determination. USCIS can and often do not approve people who meet exactly 3 criteria, right? They usually approve people whose work has real depth, guys, originality, and of course, reach, right? So those are the things that you need to think about. And yes, USCIS can also deny someone who meets 5 or even 6 or even 10 of the evidence, especially if the evidence doesn't hold up, right? They can deny people who meet all these criteria if the evidence doesn't hold up during the final merits review. So you want to make sure that the quality of your evidence is really good. Now, the goal isn't just to check the boxes. Oh, I've met this one, I've met that one, I've met this one. Tell a story, tell a compelling story, right? Build a story that clearly says, I'm at the top of my field. I'm the 1 to 2% in my field, and here is the evidence for that, right? Remember, it's storytelling. If you don't include evidence, this is just fables, right? You want to make sure that you include the specific evidence that will help boost this case or support the things that you're saying. So where does this 2-step process even come from? What is the origin of this 2-step process? I'm going to break it down to you. It's a little bit of history, but I feel like a lot of you need to know this just to know, okay, this is the reason why they actually look for these things. Well, it comes from a case called Kazarian versus USCIS. In that case, the court ruled that immigration officers couldn't just invent new rules about what qualifies. They had to first decide whether someone meets the formal criteria. But they also had to do a second level check, a second evaluation. Does all of this taken together show that someone truly is extraordinary, right? That's exactly what the origin of this 2-step check is. Now that second level check is what we call the final merits determination. Not only that you meet the criteria, but of course that taken together, you're truly exceptional. USCIS adopted this into policy, and now every single EB-1A petition must go through this to make sure that they meet the 2 criteria before they actually approved. So guys, that is the origin of the 2-step process. So what does USCIS look for in a strong final merits case? What are they looking for? I'm going to give you a few things that will make a difference in your case. The first thing is consistency of a claim. Your name keeps showing up across time. There's no way that you're exceptional if your name is not showing up over time as an expert in your field or a top tier person in your field. So consistency of a claim over time. The second is recognition by others, independent media, experts, and institutions. That shows that you are really at the top tier of your field. Third is impactful citations, commercialization, influence on others, of course. And of course, selectivity like awards, roles, or invites that aren't open to just anyone. These are ways that you can show that you're really at the top of your field. So here's the key. Your petition shouldn't feel like 10 unrelated facts, like you're just throwing things together. No, it should feel like a clear, credible pattern of excellence. That's exactly the winning key or the tool to getting your EB-1A approved. Now, a few quick tips if you're preparing your own petition. These are for individuals who want to do it all themselves, and you absolutely can write it yourself. I wrote my petition myself and got approved. Now, we offer services to help individuals who are super busy, but of course, some of you are still going to write this stuff yourself. So I would say, don't overstack weak evidence. I said this to people all the time in consultations. More is not always better if it lacks impact. The second thing is use expert letters wisely. They should explain why your work matters, not just say you're talented. And of course, build the story. Don't leave it to the officers to connect the dots. They don't have the time to do that. I once heard that USCIS officers have 30 minutes per case, right? If that is true, and that's the case, you want to make sure that you get to the point quickly. So build the case, tell the story, use visual if you have to. Remember, the final merit step is subjective, but it's not random. You can guide how the officer sees your case with structure and clarity. Tell a compelling story. If you need to put pictures in there, put pictures in there. Of course, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So make sure that your petition is such that if anybody reads it, they can see clearly a timeline of excellence, right? So far in this series, we've covered what EB-1A is and who qualifies. We've talked about the 3 threshold requirements for EB-1A. And now we've talked about the 2-part evaluation that every case goes through. Okay, in the next few episodes, we're going to unpack each of the 10 criteria one by one with examples. I love to give you guys examples. And these examples are from real cases so that you know exactly what counts and what doesn't count. Of course, we hope that when we do all the right things, that we'll get a good outcome. But this is life, right? But we want to make sure we put our best foot forward. If you know the rules, you most likely will get the outcome that you desire. So if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, I really want you to do that so you don't miss out on what's coming next. We want to make sure that we give information. Information is power. If you know a friend who's going to be, this video is going to be useful to them as well, go ahead and share the video with them because knowledge truly is power. Okay. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, okay, all of this makes sense, but I'm not really sure how this applies to me. I've been hearing EB-1A, just over the weekend, someone told me she heard about EB-2, but everything out there is just vague, right? And I said, you must not have come across my videos. In my videos, we actually break everything down into little bits. Make sure that you understand. But if you're wondering how this applies to you, let's talk. You can book a one-on-one consultation with me or anyone on my team, and then we'll help you figure out if you're EB-1A ready or even EB-2 and IW ready. And then if there are gaps that you need to fill, we'll teach you exactly what it is so you can close those gaps. We've helped people like engineers, scientists, artists, healthcare professionals. We call them our healthcare heroes, right? And even startup founders. We've helped them build successful cases without the fluff and even without the overwhelmment, right? So if that is you want us to walk you through this process, go ahead and click on the link in the description to schedule a strategy call, and we'll help you through the process, guide you step by step to make sure that you have the highest chance of getting the outcome that you desire. We don't want you to figure this out alone, right? So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the very next episode where we talk about the very next thing that has to do with EB-1A. Take care. Bye-bye.